Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our category 1 riders, in green our category 2, in blue category 3 and category 4 in red.
But it's a big push off the front already from category 1, and it's Ruben Dont out front already, 1.5 kilometres into this race. This group of riders pushing on, and you can see this was 24 riders in this group, and the group now got a bit of a stretch on it, and that's because Phil Graves, James Harvey, X100 just pushing on. They are 2.5 kilometres behind the leader in category 2, and that is still X100. Now X100, he has around 20 seconds on the chasing group of 8. So is 20 seconds going to be enough to hold them off on the final climb? So Allport, can he do it again? He took the win the first time out in category 4 on this California course. Is this going to be a Californian dreaming again? Is this his course? Is he the star here today in category 4?
It is qualifier race number 1 for July. Our first race finisher, our winner, it's Ola Warren here in category 4. He takes the win from Luke Allport, and it's going to be Almeida who's going to hit the gantry first. He takes the win here today. It is qualifier race number 2. Your race winner, Franklin Almeida.
The chase has been on behind from Luke Allport, Justin Roy and Cridland, but they are behind because SS has made the gap. SS is going to take the win today in category 4. That's the UCI banner. SS, your winner today. Allport's going to come round and he's going to take a glimpse of that UCI banner signifying the finish of this race. He's absolutely given it all on the climb. He's made the gap. He took the win in California last time. Luke Allport's going to take the win again.
Madame, messieurs, bonjour, ravi de vous retrouver sur MyWhoosh pour ce Sunday Race Club catégorie. Au départ, la catégorie 4 en rouge, les bleus de la catégorie 3, la catégorie 2 en vert et bien sûr la catégorie 1 en jaune avec les rouges qui vont ouvrir le bal. Et bien voilà, il suffisait de le demander avec Olivier Simons, le Belge. Olivier Simons, qui revient progressivement à un très bon niveau au fur et à mesure des semaines, le Belge. Et maintenant, le groupe 2, est-ce qu'il est encore aussi compact? Il y a eu une petite tentative d'échapper à nouveau avec Olivier Simons, le Belge, très offensif en ce début de course. Il est accompagné de Philip Graves et de James Harvey. Ah, attention à ce groupe. La première de sa carrière sur la plateforme MyWhoosh, et c'est mérité pour Mister Xan qui s'impose après avoir essayé à tellement de reprises. Il s'impose. Ola Warren qui va aller chercher la victoire, le Suédois. Et ça, c'est un petit événement. Ola Warren qui s'impose. Bravo. Déjà, c'est la victoire de Franklin Almeida, qui a donc été le plus costaud tout au long de ce tracé et qui s'impose ici à Heritage Climb. Victoire de Franklin Almeida. Première victoire pour SS après déjà des bonnes prestations lors des semaines précédentes. Cette fois-ci, c'est la consécration avec la victoire. C'est fait pour SS. Bravo à lui. Première victoire dans le Sunday Race Club. Luke Allport, ça fait c'est moi il tournait autour et cette fois-ci il s'impose en finale. Première victoire également du mois de juillet pour Luke Allport. Voilà qui est fait, bravo à lui.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مشاهدينا الكرام متابعينا في كل مكان، اهلا وسهلا بكم مع الانطلاقات الاربعه والفئات الاربعه، الفئه باللون الاحمر، الفئه الرابعه والفئه الثالثه بالازرق، والفئه الثانيه باللون الاخضر، والاولى باللون الاصفر.
وهنا بدايه الصعود مع نيكولاس، وهنا الفئه الثانيه بدأت بعملية الصعود عند القوس المنقط الآن، وهنا رفع الرتم منذ بداية الصعود ونقطة الصعود الأولى. هناك رفع رتم بالأمام بقيادة اللاعب أيضا تاتو كوستنا.
شوف نفس اللي نشوفه على الطريق، نفس اللي نشوفه في البطولات نشوفه الآن. لاحظ الآن عملية تجميع اللاعبين وأيضا الفريق يجمع نفسه في هذه اللحظات. برافو يا لها الآن أوليفر أيضا يدخل في هذا الوضع. 4 دراجين، تنفصل كوكبة من 4 دراجين. محاولة قوية هنا للإماراتي، ولكن تنضم الكوكبة مرة أخرى. وصلنا عند الكيلو 22، كيلو 22، وشكلنا راح نقترب أيضا لبدايات الصعوبة. الإمارات نعم، مستر إكساندريت أول فوز. احتفل نعم، جعله إماراتيا مستر إكساندريت. أولا وارن إلى المركز الأول، يفوز بالسباق التأهيلي الأول لشهر يوليو للفئة الرابعة. نعم، أولا وارن السويدي، لوك البرتانيان، أدريانو زاناسكا ينهيها ثالثا.
فرانكلين اليوم البرازيلي بطل المرحلة الثانية لشهر يوليو بفارق زمني أكثر من 20 ثانية. لأول مرة يفوز البرازيلي الميدا فرانكلين بالمركز الأول.
اس ينطلق، يلا يا نجم، انطلاقة موفقة وفوز موفق وفوز مظفر هنا لهذا البطل من الإمارات. اس لوك البورت يصل إلى خط النهاية أولا، 7 ثواني أمام توستن هولز الألماني.
So hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's qualifier race number 1 for August in our men's racing, and it's great to catch up with my colleagues in Arabic and in French. I'd like to say my language skills in both are improving. I'm not so sure they are. My name's Matt Payne. I'm in the studio with the one and only
Emma Martin.
It's good to be back in. We saw a cracking women's race earlier on in Belgium, and we are in Colombia on the Paso Alto for the men's course. A big old climb, this one, after a long flat run.
Well, it is indeed. And Ian Lloyd says our Cat 4 racer, the first 22 kilometres of this race, are his favourite on all of the Sunday Race Club courses because 45 kilometres, 914 metres of climbing, and the climbing starts at 21.9 kilometres. We got up the Medlin climb. It's 5.5 kilometres with an average gradient of 6.1%. That's a steep one. It's categorised as a Category 2 climb. Then they transition to 31 kilometres, and the long climb starts 13.5 kilometres, an average gradient of 3.6%. It's also categorised as a Category 2 climb, but it's the first climb for me here that really splits the bunch, and we regularly see sprint finishes on this course. Now, the first 21.9 kilometres has 5 sprints along the way, but the interesting fact here, Matt, is that we've used this course 4 times this year, either as a final or as Qualifier 1. And it is Qualifier 1 again today in August.
Interesting fact that. Indeed. Right, let's go over to our racers who are lined up at the start pens here to head out onto that first 22.5k. Our category is the same as always: 1 in yellow, 2 in green, 3 in blue, and category 4 in red. Our categories separated 5 minutes between 1 and 2, 5 minutes between 3 and 4, 2 and 3 separated by 10 minutes. And our category 4 riders will be the first away. We have our teams here. We've got Level Up Racing Squad, Westfield, Roy and Allport. We've got Spinachi in the mix with Gomez de Almeida. The Anzacs being covered by McMurtry, Winfield, Cridland and Connell. We've got the Power with Rustinek and Rooney, and the upcycled squad of Xavier Maillard. And in the Al Wathba, the ZTBR squads. This is going to be an absolute flyer here today. It's a big race for them. We're going to run through these riders once we've got them away, once we got out onto the course here in Colombia. The riders lined up for qualifier race number 1. First race start away. It's Category 4.
Well, Category 4 away and out into Colombia. The pack rolling very steadily out the start pen. They know 21.9 kilometres of flat racing other than the bridges. Now, the bridges on this first section of racing is where we are likely to see attacks go, but we are not likely to see anybody go off the back of... Sorry, let me rephrase that. We're not likely to see anybody go off the front of the race field on the attacks on the bridges, but we are likely to see riders get dropped off the back, and hence the group gets slightly smaller. Well, Alex West here on the front of this Category 4 race, just pushing on at the start, not letting anybody feel a little bit dozy in the pack.
Dozy? As in sleepy rather than stupid?
Yes.
Because dozy in English means both.
Well, no. I meant it in the terminology of sleepy.
Okay, so no snoozing at the back of the pack. Please pay attention, class. It's time to head out. Your lesson for today is how to conserve energy on the first part of the race route and how to expend it wisely on the second part of the race route. One man who amplifies that mission is SS. Good to see him back in action once again here in the race field in Category 4. Will he be up at the front? The race field, Emma, I mean, we've got a huge number of riders in here.
49 riders, and there are some really strong riders in here. So we saw Luke Allport take his second win in California in Category 4. The only rider in Category 4 to have taken a win in California so far. 2 races in California, 2 wins for Luke Allport. It's his course. Justin Roy, 4th place last week. SS 5th place last week. So we are seeing some strong riders as well. But, you know, Brian White, Cameron Dadson, David Milano, Edison Gomez, Felipe Tortoretto, Jacques Russanek, all in the mix. Mark Dadson in here too. Ronald Erasmus joining us as well. One of the riders who rode and raced the GCC Championships, now coming on board to the Sunday Race Club. So welcome on board. Great to have Russanek as ever in here. He's always a strong rider, you know.
Yeah, the Canadian Russanek, along with Rooney from New Zealand, representing the Power Squad.
Yeah, he finished 4th on this course in the May final last time we were here. So this is one of the courses that suits him.
And that's one of the key things, isn't it? We have such a variety. We have lots of different courses. We have ones with big climbs at the end. We have ones... I never thought I'd say this, but I'm missing the Jebel Hafit and the Jebel Yates. We haven't seemed to have done those for a while.
No, we haven't.
It feels like we've done a lot of shorter, sharper courses, which, of course, are perfect for the World Championships coming up. And congratulations to everybody who was racing. You mentioned Erasmus. He was out racing on the qualifiers, the open qualifiers for the 2024 Championships. Now, in with Franklin Gomez del Almeida at the moment on the turbo there with the curtain just pulled back, the window open. It's a ventilation. If you weren't watching the women's race earlier on, ventilation was the theme of all of the windows that we saw indoors. Don't ask me why. You just have to watch the show. Right, in with Almeida at the moment. Nicely tucked in this pack. We are seeing riders being distanced with 2.4k in at the moment, 3.5 minutes of racing done. And we are starting to see riders off the back. But the first of the things that can instigate a change of pace is the sprint. It doesn't count for overall prizes in the qualification or in the finals, but it does do a number of things. One is give us a snapshot on who is riding what, where and when, who is going quick, who's going slow, whether the time gaps are coming up and down and where they made that distance. But it also is a great way for the riders to stretch their legs out and pull on a green jersey. Currently having yellow-green issues at the moment in the studio, so that's no surprise if we're getting that one the wrong way around. In the moment, Cadabona using this as a great way to stretch out his legs on the right of your screen. On the left of your screen, the Category 3 riders are getting ready for race start. 30 seconds to go. We've got some quick teams in here. We've got the draft team with Batty and Smythe. We've got the Corfac and the Cyclina team. Now, Captain Al Refry in the mix. Looking forward to seeing him racing. Level Racing, Captain Kirk himself, Peterson and Hagland in here. And X-Pro represented by Cardona, Elos and Il Pino Super Sprinter. Francis Il Pino in the mix. We are ready to roll. It's Category 2. It's Qualifier 1. It's time to go race. Away they go off from the start line. And at the moment, just in with Esteban Giraldo as this big pack pulls out and on to the course proper. And just seeing a few people working quite hard here just to make sure that this is a quick start. Luke Allport, though, he's doing an Allport. He is on a mission again. Now, he had a good race yesterday. He was one of the riders we saw in action in the first of our open qualifiers for the World Championships. To basically to get through to the semi-finals, you've either got to be selected by your nation, or you have to make your way there via the open qualifiers to allow the community a chance to jump in and ride, irrespective of whether they've been selected by their nation or not. Great way to get involved and jump on board. We saw a number of the people who had qualified racing in the women's race, same here in the men's race. Luke Allport putting in a good ride, and at the moment just opening up a gap. He's got Eben Schwartz on his heels here, so Schwartz just holding on the heels of South African, on the heels of Allport, then Van Kirk making his way up as well. Pino in close attention. Nicole Cansara doing the same, and Emma's prediction here of riders going off the back at the bridges, it's wrong, not because they haven't gone off the back, but because they've gone off even earlier.
Well, there we go. I can be wrong. I am very happy to admit it. Just taking a little look actually at our riders. And Francis Pino was part and parcel of that qualification race yesterday. Didn't make it into the top 10. He finished in 20th overall. But fabulous to see him part and parcel of that. And I'm sure he'll have another go next week on Wednesday or Saturday. But Pino absolutely pushing it on the front at the moment. Jamie Velez there as well. So Velez in the mix. Strong riding, strong racing, and great to see.
Yep, really quick action now. Bait it up here, right on the heels of those leaders as they go in and through. This is a big race field now. I know Emma's busy scribing away. I can tell you for a fact that the entries in Category 3 and the entries in Category 4 were the same. That is the limit
49
of my
riders.
stats for you
Would you like
today.
me to give you a little run through?
Would you like to give us a little run through of, I mean, I ran through the teams and they are packed with great riders,
Yes.
but there's a lot of riders in this
There
race
are a
field.
lot of riders in this race field. So 49 riders in the Category 3 race field. And a number of riders who did ride and race last night in that open public qualifier event. But Velez is here. He took a third in the monthly final last week. Smythe from the draft squad took a fourth. Well, there's a wide range of riders. Cansara is here. Spratt, Pino, Arago, Montoya, Bedoya is in here. Mountier, Abello, Valencia is here. Daniel Cadiz, who was in that qualification race but didn't make a top 10, the same as Niall Batty. So great to see them in the mix. Taylor Gonsalin as well was out last night racing, as well, I say last night, it wasn't last night for everybody, but he was out in a parcel of that qualification race last night, picking up points but not making the top 10. So riders on the Sunday Race Club racing hard today. A couple of riders off the back of this Category 3 pack, but they continue to roll. And well, they are coming up for the sprint section. This is the Amazon Lake Sprint. And well, the question is, as they transition across the boardwalk, are we going to see anybody put a push on? I can see Pino going at 9 watts per kilo. So Francis Pino putting a push on over the boardwalk, first sprint of the day.
So here we go, the move goes, coming in over this boardwalk, going through the sprint, 300 metres from start to finish. Good way to stretch those legs out, maybe just see how you're feeling. Good to see Taylor Gonsolin in here. Gonsolin scoring points last night, if you're in the UK, which is our time, or yesterday, depending on when it was. In the qualifiers, a point scorer there, and back racing again now. Now, as they go in through, just seeing a push over the top here. Rick Van Erck has gone on the attack. That is a classic post-sprint counter-attack in Category 3. Are we going to see the same here in Category 4? Our sprint leader after the first section has continued to push here, and 6.2 as he goes up onto the climb over this bridge. This has a longer upper section here. It's a flatter top to this bridge, and at the moment, I think we are seeing moves being made early. People are not wanting to wait. Look at the damage that's done. The dot to dot, the red discs represent a rider. Each red disc on the bottom left-hand side of your screen is a rider. Each of those discs, they're currently spread out around 2 horseshoe bends. So that's basically the shoes that you put on the bottom of a horse's feet. It's a bend in the river that is a horseshoe shape. Really good to see the riders on the offensive early.
Well, Cy Cox putting in the fastest sprint in Category 4 over that Amazon Bridge sprint as we drop back in to Category 3. And Rick van Erck, one of the riders pushing on the front here, coming in on the run-in to the bridge. So Van Erck putting the push on Jamie Valles, closing the gap down. Francis Pino, Nathan Peterson, Oleg Kochkov and JD Abello now seconds back. So the push really coming in on this Category 3 race, really pushing over the bridge and causing a stretch within the first 5 kilometres of this race.
So fractured and, well, basically exploded group in Category 4. They're all over the place. Category 3 also starting to break up with the pressure. Everybody's come out to race here. It's August and it's probably not giving a spoiler. Jamie Velez on the attack here, on the move on the front, ripping it up in Category 3 in the men's race. Very similar to the women's race. We saw absolutely fast and furious earlier on.
Yeah, no spoilers, no spoilers.
No spoilers. We're not going to tell anyone who won. But I'll tell you something. You had to be awake from the get-go.
Well, I'll tell you
and
something.
That's what's happening here.
You do, and I'll tell you something. If you do want to watch a very good women's race, head over to MyWhoosh YouTube channel and take a look at the women's race this morning. I've got to stop referencing the time of day it is here in Europe.
We are in Europe. Last time I looked outside, out of the studio, when I got the chance,
head over and take a look at the women's race on the MyWhoosh YouTube channel.
Whatever time of day it is.
Whatever time of day it is for you. Even if you want something good to watch before bedtime, if you want something great to watch when you wake up in the morning. I know the Olympics are on at the moment as well, but the women's race was fabulous.
It was a great race, and it's great to see both the men's and women's races being absolutely brilliant. Some great racing in all of our race categories. Now, Category 4 at the moment, well underway on this course. 8.5 kilometres of racing covered at the moment as they take the right-hand turn, and they're going to make the way in around this course in Amazonia. Really, really good. It's really nice. It's a great one to warm up on. If you're going to go and do a race, it's a great one to ride around. It's really rich around you. It keeps you occupied whilst you may be just starting to get into gear, and that's why it's such a great start for the start of the racing. Now, Ronald Erasmus in the UCI Masters World Champions jersey there. I wonder what discipline it is. Ronald, get in touch. Let us know what discipline that you got your UCI Masters World Champions jersey in. Emma's going to go quickly fight, see if she can find it. But those rainbow stripes on there are, of course, iconic. They are the Masters. That means basically you're in the slightly older age categories. Not much, obviously, because Ronald Erasmus, a bit like myself, is a very young fella overall. But you do have to be a slight of some age to get a Masters jersey. However, the white jersey with the iconic rainbow bands that we see awarded to our world champions in the standard categories, that's going to be up for grabs in October. The live finals in Abu Dhabi. You'll be able to watch that, and looking forward to bringing you all of the action there. Before that, we have our semi-finals and our qualifiers, the public qualifiers already underway, with the first of those yesterday. We got one on Wednesday and next Saturday, so do jump on board. You haven't missed the cutoff. Right, Category 4 and 3 underway. Category 2, waiting, raring, ready to go. We've got some big old teams in here in terms of ability, although they're very evenly matched in terms of numbers. So the El Waspa QTR Pro team are represented by Al Case and El Hector, both strong riders in the GCC Championship. So we've got Level Racing, Eric Golden Boy Rimborg, going to be in action for them, leading them out. The MyWhoosh Werewolves, well, the German duo of Theme and Walter are going to be in action there. They're up against the UAE Falcons and the UAE clan team, so Al Tanaji and Hamdan of the Falcons, Mr. X100 and Papo Popovic, the man we're in with at the moment for the UAE clan team. Category 2 lined up, clock goes. It's time to go racing. Here we are. It is going to be all about staying in here at the start. We've seen all the other categories go absolutely flat out as the riders head out and away. They'll be coming back past here before they dive down into the caves as part of this flat first 22.5 kilometers. However, this start is going to be very interesting. 42, 43 kph, not necessarily as fast as we've seen. Will that encourage somebody to attack? If it goes quickly, generally, it's harder to attack. If you see a slower start and everybody think, oh, maybe I should have a go here. One man who's not afraid of having a go is Nick Scolari. Just seeing him in here. Good to see Nick Scolari back in action. Fadel Al-Haita also in action here. Really strong rider there, the Qatari rider who is part of that Al Wathba QTR Pro team. In action in the GCC, that's the Gulf Cooperation Council, which covers the states in the Gulf area, and their championship. You can watch it back on the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. Do please go have a look. Some great racing, some great riding, and great to see all those riders in action. And it is pretty much non-stop from our riders at the moment. For our riders at the moment, in all of the different competitions that we have here, lots of great racing now. Another man who we've seen in action, Mohammed Al-Alami, just on the back of this pack at the moment. So is Matthias Van He. He's holding around this area. Van He qualifying for the World Championship semi-finals in our open qualifier. So congratulations to him. Just in with Mohammed Al-Alami at the moment there. Just look at that focus. Watching on the screen there, that bike just set up the screen just in his eye line. Doesn't need to expend any energy by tipping his neck back or dropping it down, holding it up so he doesn't look down at the screen. So really efficient there. Nice pedal cadence as well. Now, we did put a plea out to Ronald Erasmus to let us know. I sent Emma off on a mission, and Emma has, for the first time in living history, not found out in her immense stalker rider skill set.
Oh, I can't believe you just said that.
Yeah, you got an SAS skill set, not the Special
No,
Air
the fact
Services.
that I haven't found it.
Well, I know. I've not given up hope because I know what you're like. You're like a terrier.
Yeah, I
you're
know.
Not gonna, you're not
the
going to let
problem
go
is,
of
I
this.
also want to watch the racing.
Exactly. I mean, hello, Sad. It's good to see Sad Carradine on again. Another of our regular riders. Do you know what I really like? If you are a rider, please do hit the links and make sure that those images are going up for us. We love to join you, and we get to see regular faces like Sad Carradine. He's one of our regular riders. I love the fact that guaranteed to have a headband on, guaranteed to be looking super cool.
Well, he's a super cool rider, that's why, because he's right on the wheels of Eric Rimbaud. Rimbaud moving up to Category 2, and it's a massive Category 2. 54
Huge.
Riders on the start. She said it is our biggest race field, and some fabulous riders. Have we spotted, there is Olivier Simmons, he's part and parcel of that pack, part and parcel of the front group. Ivan Nuki, Matthias Van He took the win, didn't he, yesterday, which was amazing.
It was a good ride, and do give him a follow on social media. A lot of our riders have social media handles, and do let us know. Jump on board, send us a like, give us a follow, send us a message. Emma and myself will always make sure we message back. We'd love to know what you're up to. This race field, we've got, I need you, Emma, to sum this up in about 9 seconds. How good is this race field?
Phenomenal.
I'm just waiting for the rest of the 9
Didn't
seconds.
take me any more than that.
No.
So Simmons pushing on here. Peter Mullistick, Jose Oviedo at the front of the chase group. Simmons really wanting to open this up at the moment on the boardwalk. John Brune in here as well. He was part and parcel of that race field last night, and indeed did finish in the top 10. Number of riders here. So Andrew Downey, John Brune, Matthias Van He and Waterclays, all Cat 2 riders on the Sunday Race Club, finishing in the top 10 in those public qualifiers.
So congratulations, we'll see you in the semi-finals of the World Championships. But let's go to our Premier Division, the top of the tree. We have some strong squads. The Velociraptor squad will be captained by Vidar Mehr. We've got the Alpha Jaws squad, well, they're always strong. Churek, Vajasin, Kaminsky and Jones. But they're up against Hard to God, Osborne, Knudsen, Safrasetti and Van Elst. Category 1 are ready to go on qualifier race number 1. Who will be number 1? Time to go find out. We have got 45 kilometers and 914 meters of ascent to go to our finish. Who will be on the front? Already seeing a big kick out. They go in the opposite direction to some of our Category 4 riders who are heading into the tunnels. Category 1 out and away, and already one rider has set off a bit like Usain Bolt out of the blocks here, or maybe Chris Hoy on a kilo sprint.
Well, absolutely flying is what Panizza is doing at the moment. So Ricardo Panizza flying out the start pens. The man has wings today. Vidal Mayer and Hayden Pucker at the front of the group, with Betty in the mix as well. Fabulous to see Ollie Jones in there too. So is Jakob Bjorklund.
Yeah, that'll be the one.
Do you know, I just...
Yeah, you're having a word today. Don't worry about it. I asked for a dictionary earlier on because
do you know what I'm going to do? Anyway, never mind. So Panizza continuing to push Bjorklund into Noren back in the mix as well. It's fabulous to see. Do you know? So 31 riders on the start sheets in Category 1. Fabulous sized race field, and the race field getting bigger because we've got Category 2 riders coming up. Troshanowski moving up into Category 1 this week.
Yeah.
Ruben Dont, we've seen him since he's moved up from Category 2, putting in some great performances. I think he finished in the top 10, didn't he, last week, which was absolutely amazing after having been here a few weeks. Johan Noren is back. Tim Cutler is back. We've not seen him
Tim.
for a while.
Good to see you.
And Sieb Dvert, who we saw in the qualifiers last
one of
time,
our younger riders.
One of the young riders in those qualifiers coming into the Sunday Race Club today. Welcome.
Absolute class as well. He's a man not to underestimate. That is for sure. Got Yusuf Mizel Hamadi in the group as well. But we are looking at the team of the Alpha Joel squad. Lining with Justin, Michael Kaminsky, Daniel Tuig, and Ollie Jones. Morning all. Nice to see Daniel's waving, even as the rest of you are far
He's
too
got
focused.
some good tunes on, I think.
He's
at the
doing
moment
that.
as well.
He's out the saddle and waving. The other three are just like, I'm focused. Leave us alone.
Yeah, we'll take a look at what's going on in the race at the moment.
I know, it's absolutely. I don't know how he's getting the chance to wave whilst
Massive
it's
push
flat
coming
out.
on. 1.8 kilometres into this 45-kilometre race, and take a look at that Category 1 race. Absolutely stretched and through Yasin Talbot, Jones, Safra Zaidi, Jakobs, Trojanowski, all in the mix, all scrabbling for their places now. The new riders into Category 1. Welcome to the party, and, well, it's underway already.
Can I ask a question? Did I miss a memo or something that said qualifier race number 1 in August, everybody has to go out the blocks like an absolute greyhound and really rip the race up, because all 4 race categories have decided, no, do you know what, qualifier, well, let's go for this, because it's absolute. Some days everybody is ready to race, and this is one of those days.
And that is one of those things, isn't it? When you take a look at the course like the Paso Alto, and we saw the course profile at the top of the show, and we said 21.9 kilometres before the climbing starts. Well, the race starts before the climbing, let me tell you that, because that has been proved time and time again with our categories today. Up the road, the green banner comes into sight. That's the first sprint, and well, they're coming into it at just shy of 50 kilometres an hour.
So here we go, into the sprint we go. It is the Amazon Lake Sprint. Now, we don't normally see Category 1 contest a sprint, but today I think all predictions are off in terms of this race, because, there we go, because we're seeing it as riders are up and moving. Now, Ruben Dont on the aggressive
never disappoints.
moves. He doesn't. I tell you what, this man is value for money. My goodness, whatever he wants, give him quick, because he is great value for money. He's very entertaining riding. He's always prepared to have a go. He's gone down that down the road there, and let's see if that provokes any kind of response. Are people going to let him go? Are they going to pull him back? Are we going to see a few people go across? Interesting to see Kel Power right up near the front there, holding a pretty steady 5 watts per kilo there, just making sure, staying in position, staying in contention. The front third of this group, but not on the very front, is ideal, because you want to be able to cover the moves, but you want to be in the draft. Really, really key. If you're new to MyWhoosh, to the Sunday Race Club, draft is an absolute key skill if you are going to take away a fast time. Now, Ruben Dont we saw go on his own. He didn't have any draft assistance there. He went through with a slower time than Cy Cox, who takes the top spot. Cy C, AMC, the top rider, who went through with less power, less watts per kilo, lower heart rate, and a shorter time. But that means that he was smart and used more draft.
Yes. Exactly, and you can see the times there from the Category 4 riders in red jerseys. A much bigger pack going through there, pushing on. So Cy Cox, Ruben Dont, Diego Navarro, Leonard Cadabona, Marsan Kreiswosnos, Jean Brun from Cat 2, Ben Kirk from Cat 3, back to Mark Dadson in Cat 4, Tom Walker, Taylor Gonsolin from Category 3, rounding out the top 10 fastest times.
Let's go back in with Category 2. John Brun from the United States of America in the leading trio of riders at the moment, just making the way over and into this next bridge. This bridge, really interesting one, goes to the right, goes up, rolls round the top and drops back down. It's quite a nice profile to
Beautiful
ride.
waterfall.
Yeah, it's great to ride. It's hard when you're racing because these repeated bridges, they don't see much, and yet they're really, really destructive.
And this group of 3, Matt, are 20 seconds clear of the chase group on the right-hand side of your screen, and you can see them pushing on up and over this bridge because they want to keep that gap. It's currently at around 150 metres. So the gap at the moment, 3 riders, Simmons, Brun and Alcase, the 3 riders clear from the chasing group in Category 2.
Big group of chasers on the right-hand side. The trio just splitting a little bit. Alcase being distanced, very exciting rider to watch.
Yes.
A very, very quick rider. A multi-time Ironman rider. He's, if I remember right, with Alcase, he's also a paratrooper. I think Mohammed Alcase is also the man who's climbed Everest, if I remember correctly.
Yes, well, your
there
memory
you
does serve you well as Alcase pushes on the. He's a dangerous rider to let go down because he has absolute commitment and he really, really does push hard. We saw that in the GCC Championships where he was absolutely flying, and fabulous to see those riders from those GCC Championships coming into the Sunday Race Club. We've talked already about Ronald Erasmus joining in Cat 4, Alcase joining in Category 2. I think is really going to be a rider to watch on this course.
Yes. I think he's a rider to watch on any course. I think he's really exciting. I think that's Alcase times Belgium equals carnage.
Well, we're not in Belgium today for the men's race. We are in Colombia on the Paso Alto, 45 kilometers of racing, 914 meters of climbing, and take a look at that. 20 seconds now separating the group.
And interesting there, Miss X100 have done Alcase with the 2 riders battling it out in that GCC Championship. They were just on the screen. One man who battles it out each and every week, Hayden Pucker.
He's at his pancakes.
I know. I saw a picture.
Or his waffles.
That Emma showed me in the studio just before we came on air of the breakfast of champions eaten by Hayden Pucker, and I had food envy, I have to say. I think it just made my stomach rumble.
Don't have time envy because it was 4:20 a.m. in the morning where Hayden Pucker is when he was eating his breakfast. His waffles and maple syrup were right there in front of him on the plate. Hopefully they're fueling him through Colombia because he's pushing on the front. Stefan Van Elsten, Ollie Jones bringing the pack back onto his wheels. So Pucker has been riding really, really strongly since he's joined the Sunday Race Club. He has been rewarded with a top 5, but he's always there or thereabouts in the top 10.
Let's see what he can do today. One man on the attack again, so another attacker, another man on the move. Rick van Erck of the Netherlands now starting to stretch out on the front of Category 3. He's got a 6 seconds gap on Pino, Gerardo, Spratt and Co. Pucker's been on the attack here. He's not on the attack anymore because we're coming into the sprint, and it's Ruben Dont who's used this sprint again. He's pushed right the way through here. Surely he's going to be rewarded for that because he's continually pushing on through. A very, very, very aggressive rider. And because this sprint is right before the bridge, a push over the top here can put some damage in behind. I think it's interesting. We're seeing Van Els, Jacobs, Osborne and Co chasing here. Now, Let's take a look at the times and the effort being put in there. Ruben Don absolutely flying at that. He takes the top spot. A mix of riders, though, Emma, behind.
Yes, they are indeed. So Don takes top spot, 12 seconds, 0.495, 0.274 quicker than Cy Cox in category 4, who is pushing on. Navarro in 3, Ben Kirk from category 3 hitting the top 4. But, Matt, do you know what I'm missing? Yellow and green jerseys, and I've just taken a little bit of a look down. Olivier Simmons setting the fastest time in category 2 in 10th place. And the rest of the category 1 riders, well, they are somewhere mixed amongst the rest. Ooh, Jason Osborne, 67th.
Hey, not often you get to say that, is it? Jason Osborne, 67th place. But it's an indication that other than Don, who went for that, the rest of the category 1 were rolling through. They didn't put the pedal to the metal. They weren't keeping the chain tight at that time. So let's see how that transpires as we go through now. Just taking a little bit of a look through these groups. We've seen the move in category 2. We've seen a move in category 3. Category 4 sees repeated moves, but nothing sticking at the moment. Mercury the only one clear. Category 1 are together, basically. They are the main group that are together. Category, all the rest of them, we've got attackers on the go.
Well, and it's really interesting, isn't it? Because in category 2, those 3 riders clear, Simmons, Alcase and Brune, have now got 30 seconds on the chasing group. That's a phenomenal gap. In category 3, we've got some aggressive racing as well, but this group of riders absolutely pushing on. Here you go. 32 seconds now. So Alcase, Simmons and Brune have 30 seconds on the chasing group. They're coming up for 12 kilometres now of racing complete. Just as a reminder, the first climb does not come till 21.9. They've still got a long way to go.
They have. Now, I absolutely love it when people go on the attack. I've got to say, I'm hoping that we're going to see this go clear. 34 seconds. Mohammed, John, Olivier, you might want a little incentive. If any of you make it to the finals...
Oh, gosh!
Because I'm going to see you there. I will buy you an ice cream if you stay clear to the end of this race. There you go. That's today's incentive. From the commentary team, well, from me, because Emma's going to just have her head in her hands about me talking about ice cream in another show again. But, yeah, if you make it, guys, to the end of the race, then, you know, I owe you an ice cream, because that is a big, impressive move to go so early.
Huge incentive, Matt, for people who don't like ice cream.
Does anybody not like ice cream? If you do, don't let me know.
Anybody who's vegan probably doesn't like ice cream.
You can get vegan ice cream.
Well, that's true.
You can get all sorts of different... You might not like a particular flavour.
You might like a sorbet.
That's fine as well.
Well, there we go. Each to their own. Well, at the moment, Brett McMurtry pushing on in category 4. But the gap coming down, and it's Zimmel who comes up and over the top. Well, that's because the climb has started. They're at 22 kilometres. They were the first group of riders away out of the start pen today 33 minutes ago. And they are the first group of riders onto the Medlin climb. 5.5 kilometres of climbing, 6.1% average gradient. Well, it really does move. And category 4 now on those slopes. Category 2, we're seeing some action at the front of the pack. This pack 33 seconds behind 3 lone leaders. And Graves, Biarhead, X100, Goodall, Ospina, all coming through the front here. Alex Heaney is there as well. These riders pushing on in this race and really now starting to open up and motor. I wonder whether, Matt, this is now a concerted effort to attempt to bring the group back.
Yeah, save me an ice cream, all 3. Possibly, if they can get the group back, and they've got far bigger incentives because they will want to be at the top of the standings. Top 5 riders in each of our race categories are going to be in line for prizes, subject to verification. Of course, that verification process starts off before the riders begin racing, finishes long after, because those checks are always in place. Now, Ruben Don on the sprint again. He was a little bit mobbed coming in. He's going to go clear just at the end of it. He's going to basically take so far a clean sweep of sprints, because we're at 10.5k now, and going in through the jungle sprint. 2 more to go. They're both before we get to the climb Dont, the fastest Category 1 rider, but the only Category 1 rider yet again. But at least we've got a green jersey on there in the shape of Olivier Simmons.
That is true. And we do indeed. So Category 2, Category 1, Category 3 and Category 4 all represented here.
Nice to have all the colours on there.
It is indeed.
I like my colouring in. I like it when it's multicolour. So all 4 categories of rider in there. Category 4 on to the climb though now, and they're already a long way down the road. They have gone through all of the sprints because they were the first group of riders set off. They're on the climb, our leading group, and you can see that it is a group.
That.
It's a big group, and yet behind there's a long train of riders chasing a little pack in between. We're in with Garce Zimel. Garce just on our screen. So big screen in front. Got the game rolling and pedaling away there in the pain cave. Just sitting nice and smooth.
17 riders.
90 his cadence. 17 riders in this group, Emma.
Yes, 17 riders in the leading group on the Medellin climb. As they work their way through the Paso Alto course in Colombia, the push just coming on the front, but Ronald Erasmus, Justin Roy, Alexander Fielder, all in here. So is Jacques Russanek. Mark Dadson is in here too. This is the group who are pushing up the climb together. 17 riders currently leading Category 4.
So Category 4 just breaking a little on the very front. They're onto the climb at 21.5 K. You can just see the riders going into the climb. Well, it is Rick van Erck who has 35 seconds. 35 seconds at the moment. That is the gap. That is the distance that's been opened up. Can he stay clear? Well, we will have to find out. Is he going to be able to hold off the rest of the riders?
Well, it's going to be a real effort to hold them off on the climbing as he continues to push. Well, Rick van Erck is pushing on up the front. The chasing group, sorry, I was looking at the chasing group as I was talking about the leading rider and it didn't compute. You know, when you look at one thing and try and say something else. And but Bedoya part and parcel of the mix. So is Spratt, Toomey, Velez is there as well. They're wide across the road, and that's because they are all riding a very similar pace. So the chase pack in Category 3 are rolling on the road. Rick van Erck, well, he's the rider clear over 30 seconds up the climb. So Van Erck pushing on the climb here in Category 3. The rest of the field are chasing, and Pino, Bedoya, Polgarin, Batty, Arago, Spratt. You know, these are names that we would see week in, week out. Well, Rodriguez, Diduch, Angarita, Cansara and Oviedo were the top 5 riders on this course on the May final. But the key thing to note in Category 3, as we go in with Giraldo on our screen, is that there were 18 seconds, just 18 seconds separating the top 11 riders in Category 3 on this course in May.
So super close, super tight. Going to be really interesting to see if we end up with that sprint. Do we end up with a super tight race where everybody has to have a kick left at the end? And how much energy do you save? Well, we will find out. It's going to come clear who's putting in too much energy. At the moment, one man who's putting in plenty is Anders Bengtsson, the Norwegian, on the move at the moment, out of the saddle here. Bengtsson with that fan rolling, plenty of ventilation there, as he is kicking his way along, really pushing through the bottom of that pedal stroke. He is out of the saddle, holding a good watts per kilo, but it's provoked a response.
It has indeed. I just saw over 8 watts per kilo from Arnie Jacobs trying to close the gap down. He closes the gap down and goes right over the top there, not coming off the power. That is interesting. Obviously seeing an opportunity to get a gap on the group. So Jacobs and Bengtsson, the 2 riders pushing, all of a sudden, are we going to see a response from behind? Well, I can see Power pushing at 7, so is Osborne. So Jason Osborne has decided it's time to close the gap. He's pushing on. Kel Power moving too, but not all the riders responding. Troshanowski now starting to pick up the pace, so Safrazadi, but they're letting Osborne do the work.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
Yes.
I mean, it's fairly relevant at the moment, given the Olympics is on, and some great competition in the rowing at the Olympics. This is the man who took a silver medal in the Olympics for rowing, transferred to riding a bike professionally, and a professional rider for De Koning, a Grand Tour rider and a regular rider on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club for a number of years now. Good to see him in action. You could see our riders in the flesh. Jasail Betty here, keeping his legs spinning here in Category 1. The Brazilian nicely in that group. You can see, though, he's pretty warm at the moment, and it's... you can't put out these amount of watts. I mean, you know, if you put these amount of watts into a toaster, you burn the bread. You know, it wouldn't be toast, it would be dust.
Well, whether there's dust, it's kicking up a dust at the moment, I'll tell you, because Jacobs and Bengtson still 7 seconds off the front. Well, these three riders, should I say, went earlier. Alcase, Brune and Simmons. They did have a bigger gap than this. It is coming down, but it's still 15 seconds. X100 leading the charge in Category 2. Theme, Bjarhead, El Alami is there, as well as Krasnich. These riders continuing to push on. They're at 18.3 kilometers, and they're coming into the Monpox City Sprint. This is the last of the 5 sprints in the early part of this race before we get to the climb.
And it's an interesting move going for this, because we are about 3.5k from the finish, but this push here by Mr. X100 has broken clear a chase group.
It's a smaller group too.
It is. So we've got 3 in front. We've got a smaller chasing group, almost split in 2, with a third group in pursuit. That's Category 2, right-hand side of your screen. The 3 leaders still clear at the front of the race by about 37 seconds. Left-hand side, and now onto the main screen. This is Category 1. Bengtson and Jacobs with 4 seconds back to the chasing pack as they come through this sprint. Now, the pack may have sped up, because we know that Ruben Dunt is going to go for those sprints. So has Vidar Mayer. Dunt backs off here, though. It's almost brought him onto the wheels. So the 2 leaders taking a steady pace through there to try and stay clear of the group. Dunt and Mayer almost closing onto the heels, courtesy of that sprint. That sprint time, an 18.795 time for the leader, the fastest man through the sprint. Ruben Dunt again really cleaning it up at the moment. Diego Navarro up against Cy Cox at the moment in second and third place. He's very close between those two. There's only 0.63 of a second separating them. That's absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, on Category 4, we're on the climb, the first of 2 climbs, the Medellin City climb. It's shorter, it's steeper. And then we go into the FRB, the flat rolling bumpy section that separates the 2 climbs. This shorter climb, 6% average gradient. It does have some changes in gradient.
It does.
But it will suit a rider who can sit and tap out a rhythm, and that's what we know SS can do. Behind, I think they're yo-yoing up and down in pace maybe a little bit more, giving a little bit of room, then bringing it back a little bit of room. What do you think?
Well, I do agree, actually, and it's interesting because we're at 25.5 kilometres now into the race. The climb started just before the 22 kilometre mark, so through 3.5 kilometres of climbing already complete. They are over halfway up the climb, and SS clear in front, but the chase group split into 2. So SS clear by around 17-18 seconds of a large chase group, but then there's a small gap and a further chase group further back. So this Category 4 pack, really interesting in terms of how this race is panning out. But SS being chased by Connell, Erasmus, Pruitt, Roy, West and Walker. Rooney is in there too. On the right hand side of your screen, around 5 kilometres, 5.4 kilometres behind, we're now seeing X100 continuing to lead the charge, really pushing on to the 3 leaders who are still 16 seconds clear of him. He's 5 seconds clear of the group, so he's currently out in no man's land.
So let's see what will happen. Two of our most experienced riders on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club on your screens at once there in SS and Mr. X100. Mr. X100 now, the man in no man's land indeed, just trying to get back to the group. 18 seconds in front, 10 seconds behind. He knows that he's got the power and the pace of the leaders. He's competitive in this, but he didn't go with them thinking that they would come back, but I think he's wary. He knows the pace of climbing that Olivier Simmons can put down. He knows of the speed and the strength of John Broome. We know how fearsome Al Case is, and he's going to know this. They're going to see him coming up behind. They'll know that the chase rider is now 18 seconds. Will they do anything about that prior to the climb? We will find out. One of the other things that's really interesting here, Emma, is that Mr. X100 did this last time we were here. He went early on the run to the climb, almost making the climb a longer time trial effort. So he didn't particularly go any harder when he was on the climb than the run in, making what is a short climb of what is it? It's it is next to no distance, 5.5k. It's not a big, long climb. Sorry, the first climb, the medalling climb. He actually extended that to being near an 8k effort, because he went early.
Well, and I think one of the things we see from X100 in Category 2 is he is a consummate time trialer, and he does use that ability to really pace his effort. The up-down nature of the attacks don't suit him, so giving himself some sliding room on the climb really works well. We've just seen Category 1 come through the Monpok City Sprint, and, Ruben Dont doing what Ruben Dont has been doing all race, setting the fastest time in Category 1, but Cy Cox from the Al Wathba QTR Pro Cat 3 team really setting the pace today in terms of managing those sprints in the pack of Category 4 riders. Navarro coming through in 2. Category 3 riders in the mix as well. Category 2, well, most of those coming through, Simmons and X100 coming through in 12th and 13th place. So a real mix of riders as the pace and the racing influence the sprint.
It does indeed, and it is all part of that bigger picture, and that little snapshot on what's happening, absolutely critical. Now, we're just taking a look at categories 1, 2, 3, and 4. Category 1 at the moment at just approaching 19.5 kilometres, 22.5 kilometres for the leaders of Category 2. The leaders in Category 3 are at 25.6 kilometres and a further 1,100 metres in front. SS, the leader in Category 4, up the road, but these groups are coming together. The distances between are coming down. We have yet to see whether all 4 groups will be caught back. It's not always the case here that Category 1 catch everybody on the Paso Alto. We're going to have to see if that transpires today. Meanwhile, Category 1, and looks like another attack going on the front again. And Anders Bengston on the move here, really ripping this up at the moment at 19.9k.
Yes.
2k to the climb. A really interesting move. Why go here?
Really trying to stretch some legs and move this on, because at the moment this group are just, Category 1 have just been sat waiting. They are the category who have sat waiting the most. Sat waiting for that Medlin climb, for the action to happen. And Bengston deciding, nope, enough is enough. Let's get this race going before the climbing starts. And this Lyndon Milostick, the young rider coming across, recently moved into Category 1. He's been here a few weeks now, finding his legs and really happy to join in with the action. So great to see him. Pucker, Vuyasin, Betty, Safrazadi, all in there. But the response not coming yet from behind.
It's not. Lyndon Milostić, am I right in thinking he's been racing in Italy for a team, or is it?
No, that's Cam Winfield.
Cam Winfield. I was going to say it's one of our 2 Antipodean youngsters who really have excelled. I'm sure we're probably going to see him in the pro ranks very shortly. The speed these youngsters have, mixing it up with some of our slightly older riders. Speaking of which, Mr. X100 is here. He is currently on the climb. He's on your screens on the left-hand side. He's ahead of Christoph Thiem. Thiem is at 12 seconds behind. Mr. X100 has closed down the gap slightly to Alcase and to Bruno, who've picked their pace up on the climb. This is now becoming it's almost a time trial
this is split,
up the mountainside.
Alcase, Simmons
crazy.
and Brune, 18 seconds up on X100, who's 11 seconds up on Coinston and Theme Ospina. And those are the chasing group of Category 2 riders. There are more Category 2 riders behind that chase group, but it really is now 3 riders, 1 rider chasing, large group.
Absolutely crazy stuff here today with that early kick on 100 meters, separating the chasing pack from our leaders, from our chasers, and then the chaser currently being separated from the leaders by another 100 meters. Thing is, 100 meters is a long way on the way up and over. Now, let's move across to our Category 4 right-hand side of your screen at the moment. And that is our leader on the road, SS, leading that category out. 30 seconds gap on Ronald Erasmus, David Winfield, Tim Connell. It's also just over 30 seconds back. Pruitt a little bit further with West. Those time gaps are going to vary because this is the legendary FRB section, the flat rolling bumpy section, aka it's got a little bit of everything in it, and that makes it very hard to keep a pace. It's very hard to judge your time gap to the chasing group behind you.
Well, talking about group behind you, SS in 1, Ronald Erasmus in 2, small gap back from Erasmus to Francis Pruitt, Roy West, Walker Connell, and then Jeff Rooney. Those 9 riders in Category 4, all now over the Medlin climb.
And going into the base of the Medlin climb, we've got a gap. We've got 3 riders clear off the front of the group with a good-sized margin. This is the chasing group at the moment, coming into the climb and around this tight hairpin turn. In front, the 3 riders are 13 seconds up the climb. 13 seconds up the climb. You've got your race leaders. They have said goodbye. They've gone up the road, and they are dangerous people to let go. This all happened in the space of very little distance, and you've got Milostic who went clear with Basin and co. Absolutely nailing it on the front. 3 riders getting 13 seconds, but I think they could go to the top here. You know, you've got some incredibly strong riders in that leading group there. So I really interested to see what happens now.
Yes, but take a look at this. Savrazade, Jones for Yassin, Jacobs, Pucker and Talbot, all in the chasing group with Kaminsky. I think this group, I think they're going to call them back in, because Millerstick and Bankston are great riders, but so is everybody else in that chasing pack, and they are already reeling those 2 riders in.
They certainly are. They're going to be pulling them back in on the way through. We're taking a look back now on the second category here. We've got a big kick coming from Grace from Orego. Brood at the moment on the climb here. You could just see, I tell you, this is not an easy climb. It's deceptive because you can see the damage that's being done to the riders behind. You can see the damage that's done. The gap has come down at the moment to the riders in front, but the chasing group, I'm not sure we
look at what is happening.
Is it one group, or is this a multitude of 2s and 3s?
This is just
kind of a pack behind.
There is kind of a pack behind. But in the May final in Category 2, the top 7 riders were within 10 seconds of each other. It was Gallo, Graves, Krasnich, Biarhead and Peter Millerstick. Now, some of those riders are in this mix already, but Simmons, Brune and Alcase were the 3 riders who went clear. Pretty much they have now been caught. So Theme is in there. I've seen Graves, I've seen Heaney, I've seen these riders are now just stretched down this mountain. So this group for me really starting to come together. Biarhead is there, but Simmons still at the front, still off the front of the group, but they are coming back. And this is the steep section here. This is 8% at the moment, 8.5% under Simmons' wheels. This is the steep part of this climb. This climb for me is, you've got to treat the top of this climb like the finish. I know it only comes at 27.4 kilometres into this race, but then you've got the flat rolling bumpy section for recovery. Then the next climb, we very rarely see attacks work on the next climb because the gradient is around 3%.
And it's so fast. Drafting works,
Is available.
group works, sitting in, saving that energy can be the difference between being there. Now, here we go. Our case back into the fall. The catch has been made. He's been picked back up again here. But Kane in the mix here, Phil Graves in the mix. These riders here, we've got a number of riders who were racing yesterday in the open qualifiers. Now, we saw in the women's race, some riders go better for racing the day before. And we saw some riders clearly not having a great day because they'd raced the day before. It's so individual, isn't it? And it can actually vary with each individual. Sometimes it works really well. Sometimes it doesn't. We had a visit here at the Full Speed Event Studios by a young professional in France, Ben Chilton. Absolutely flying one day, absolutely crawling the next, and the difference can be as little as a massage. I'd get the wrong type of massage and all of a sudden you can absolutely mully your legs.
Well, it can be indeed, and it's really interesting to see how some riders respond to a really hard session. A short, hard session the day before a race, for some riders, is a really good opener. Others like a recovery period and an easier period going into a hard race, but you have to work out what works for you. Never just do what works for your friend.
No, assuming you have any.
Oh, God. Matt's painting a very lonely picture of no friends but ice cream. Well, El Alami is here in the mix with Gombert, Thiem, Millerstick and Simmons, the riders here in this Category 2 group, all now coming together on the climb. Biarhead, Carradine is here as well. Graves and Simmons. Simmons just still out front, 3 seconds. Look at that. The pack are coming, and boy, what a pack it is.
It's taken them a while to close him down. They picked everybody else up. They are surely going to bring him back, but he will want to hang on in putting in that attack, in provoking that response. He has whittled that group down. He has pulled it apart, dropped people off the back and taken it from that huge group of riders that came in and away from our start pens in Category 2. Left-hand side of your screen is Category 1 at the moment. The leaders are together. They have shed bodies, though. There are at least 6 riders being distanced off the back of that group. It may well, in fact, be more. We're just trying to keep a check on how many riders are in this leading group at the moment, though. It's a very interesting mix of riders in this leading pack. The pressure is on, the race is on, the power's going down. We are at 24.8k covered of a 45-kilometer race. This is not the final moves. We're a long way from that. And yet, at the moment, because these riders are racing so hard, we have got people being shed down the side of the mountain, down the Medellin City climb. This is going to be tough. And I think there's going to be a lot of time people we could have. If it does come to a sprint at the end, this could be the world's slowest sprint.
Well, Van Elsen, Safrazadi, Osborne and Jones pushing on. I think there's 10 riders at the front of that Category 1 pack with a number streaked back down the road behind them. Category 2 are starting to get scattered all over the mountainside as they work their way to the top. And it's Peter Millerstick with Olivier Simmons now at the front. James Krasnich and Jonas Biarhead and Side Carradine all in the mix. Bert Cahan and Phil Graves there as well. That's a class field of Category 2 riders about to sweep round that left-hand bend by the waterfall. Category 3 leader Niall Batty is with a big group, Didutch and Armo. They are right now on the base of the next climb. That's the Bogota climb. It's 13.5 kilometres with an average gradient of 3.6% as a large group of Category 3 riders mixed with a small number of Category 4 red jerseys sweeps under. So Velez, Batty, Didutch, Yees, all in that group. Spratt is there as well as Ridley and Elos, Kochkov and Kansara. Connell in the mix as well. So is Van Vellegem. It's gonna be a good climb. And I predict a sprint in Category 3.
Okay, there you go. Emma's nailed her colours to the mast. We'll see if she's run the right ones up there or whether it is going to be a different finish. Will somebody be able to solo clear? There are a lot of riders to catch on the way, but no real big groups in front of our Category 3 leaders if they're making the way through Category 4. Meanwhile, Category 2 also catching Category 3 and 4 because this is the front of the race. Jonas Bjerhed quickly on to the heels of the riders around him. Here you can see just sits back down again, make sure that he has got that pacing right, doesn't want to go to the front. He wants to go over with this group, and as you can see from the profile, top right hand side of your screen, they are almost at the top of climb number 1, the Medellin climb that brings them up and into Medellin City. It is a critical part of the race. You do not want to get distanced even now, because even though it's a short distance from the summit, you can lose a lot of time in a very short space of time, in a very short distance. And as Emma said, this almost needs to be the first of your finish lines now. Look at this.
He's adamant he wants to get to the top
doesn't he?
first.
Simmons wants to go over. He wants to get the polka dot, but he came in with a lead. I don't know that he's going to get that, so I think he's going to drop down in terms of the fastest time up that climb.
Well, I can confirm 11 riders have gone through. No, 15 riders. 15 riders have gone through in the leading group in Category 2 together. So 15 riders in the leading group in Category 2. Now at the top of the Medellin climb, Milostick Simmons, Theme Cahen, Burke Cahen is there. It is a really, really interesting mix. Koinston, Gravesman, Dakowitz, Heaney, X100, Al Case. It's a strong, strong group. 15 riders strong at the top of the Medellin City climb. Well, Category 1 are not at the top of the Medellin City climb yet. And Stefan van Elst is climbing very, very strongly today. Van Elst took 3rd last week in the July finals. A phenomenal race in California. It was Jones, Osborne and Van Elst, the top 3. I think Stefan van Elst is on good form, and I think we are going to see him right in the mix again this week.
No pressure, Stefan, as Stefan gets out of the saddle there, really kicking on. He's on the chase here. He's got with Justin and Knudsen here, starting to wind it up. But Stefan van Elst, I really love this man to take away a victory. I love it when we get a real mix-up and the changes in there. You can see the Avis Lecole rider, they're all set up, ready to go. And out of the saddle, he's looking good today. He's leading them up here. And he looked so comfy out of the saddle there. He just looked like he was dancing over those pedals
pushing and pulling those 6 riders clear of the chasers behind. So 6 riders clear in Category 1. This is Category 2. An X100 pushing on this transition section. Phil Graves, look at that. Phil Graves comes across from the group behind. The rider from Yorkshire pushing on and coming over onto the wheels of X100. Theme, Heaney, Simmons, Bjerhed, Krasnich, El Alami are in the group, but the group are 5 seconds behind. So we had 15 riders come to the top of the Medellin climb together in Category 2. 2 riders now pushing on and trying to go clear.
Do you know something? I have to say, as these riders are coming through, I'm really, really impressed by how aggressive the racing has been right into the start and right over the top of the climb. As they come up over the top, Stefan van Elst from Jason Osborne in terms of time over the top, 0.022, basically nothing. As they go over the top then with Justin Jones, Safrasedi and Knudsen, they have the fastest time up over the top. They're some 2 minutes faster than the riders behind. But look at this, Pucker now losing 26 seconds on that climb. So the American at the moment losing 26 seconds, losing 35 seconds was Noren. And surely that means that this group here, they are going to be the leaders. If you haven't managed to stay with them up and over the Medellin climb, even when you go through this bumpy rolling section, you're not going to get that gap back. It's so difficult to do when this group are moving. So We've got Jones, we've got Van Els, we've got Vijasin, we've got Osborne, Knudsen. It really is a who's who of esports elite in category 1, racing the way on towards the second of our climbs. That second climb kicking in at 31 kilometers of racing covered, so currently 2.7k to go to that point for category 1 leaders. Category 2, well, Phil Graves and Mr. X100, two of our most experienced riders on the platform at the moment, on the way up the climb. They're at 30.4k, so they are still ahead, chasing the leaders of category 3. Batty at the moment with Spratt and Pino, Didutch in that mix as well. They are the leading riders in the blue on the bottom left hand side of your screen. The bottom right hand side of your screen is the rider furthest up the course so far. 35.5 kilometers covered for SS, and still
9.5 kilometers to go. Well,
my legs just started hurting just when you said that.
9.5 kilometers to go for SS. He's leading that category 4 race. He's got one rider chasing him, and then a little bit further back there are 4 riders. So it is really interesting whether we're going to see that come together. There's watching Beatty on the category 3 race. He has got Galuska behind him, Spratt, Pino, Cansara, Velez. They are all in the mix. Didutch, as he tries to push on now on these slopes, he's got 10.5 kilometers of racing to go, and it's a big group of category 3 riders. They are so strong in category 3.
Now, category 2, chasing down and passing a lot of those riders. Graves at the moment 7 seconds behind Mr. X100, so it's X100 in 1. Graves in 2, Olivier Simmons in 3, Theme, Carradine, El Alami, Krasnich, Heaney and Co. They are in the 4th place, a bunch, because it is a bunch. It's a big group that are chasing on at the moment, but the man they need to pull back. First of all, they've got to get Graves. That is definitely possible, 12 seconds ahead of them. But then you've got Mr. X100 in front of Graves at the minute. So plenty of gaps at the moment.
I think that's nearly 13 riders in that chase group.
It's huge, isn't it?
It's huge. So we've got X100, Graves, 13 riders.
Ouch, ouch, ouch.
Cracking
Definitely.
finish is what I predict. I predict a cracking
Let me guess,
finish.
you predict a sprint.
No, I just predict a cracking finish.
Okay, well, that's pretty much given. It's the Sunday Race Club, and we have a exciting racing week in, week out. We'd love you to join us on the start line. We can watch, you can pedal, as we make our way in and through August. Remember, it is a qualifier for the first few Sundays. It's only the last Sunday in the month that is our finals, and when we get to the finals, the team competition and the team prize up for grabs. The team winning category 1 is 50,000 AED. It's 10,000 AED for the win in category 1 as an individual. We have 3 qualifiers this month, 2 more to go. You could be joining us on the start line. If you think, do you know what, I maybe fancy a little bit more of a quieter start to my racing on MyWhoosh. I don't want maybe such a baptism of fire. We've got the MyWhoosh Classics. They're out now, so premium events. Great for those people wanting to get some qualifying rides in for the semi-finals in the Worlds. Also a great way to make sure that your kit's all working for a Sunday race club. Don't forget, of course, we've got lots of great racing in this. We've got beginners racing as well from OTR, team time trials. We've got lots of great training sessions. You can also just come and ride. If you want to ride up here, I've jumped on the bike and ridden up the climb, the Bogota climb and the Medellin City climb, one after the other. And it's really, really is a great climb. It was strangely enjoyable, I think, for somebody who doesn't like long climbs. I actually really enjoyed it, partly because the scenery is amazing, partly because I was in really good company that day. I was going up with some of the riders in the from the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club up there. They were having a recovery ride. I was on the limit, but it was a great ride. Let's have a look at this climb in more detail, shall we? Where we are at the moment. We have made our way along the flat section of the Paso Alto course. You can see the first of our climbs is steep, but the second one, it's not a consistent gradient. And because of the scale and the length of this climb, those steppy sections, actually, they're bigger than it looks on that profile.
It is indeed, and they do indeed head through that profile and into that finish line. Now, the polka dot banner at the top of the Bogota
Important
climb
point.
is 500 meters from the finish line. So the checkered flag is not at the polka dot banner, it is 500 meters later. And look how flat it is at the top. It really flattens off this climb, and that often does lend to riders catching on after small gaps have formed and forming some very interesting close finishes. Now that's what we should expect as we move towards the latter stages of this race. There's been a lot of climbing already, and don't discount those sprint finishes at the top. Well, Noel Batty is continuing to move on and lead this Category 3 race, but it's just 8 seconds back to Kochkov Diduch, who are leading the charge. We've got 2 Category 2 riders, Jeff Rooney and Jacques Russanek, who are in the mix as well. They are in between Batty and the chasing group, and may well see, I was going to say they may well see if they can stay in the mix, but I don't think they're going to be able to, because that Category 3 pack will want to chase the lone leader.
They will want to be up and across the front. They will want to be first over the line to make it into the highlights of next week as we roll through. You can watch each and every week. Please do have a watch back. Maybe go back and watch a random one of our random shows from in the past. See which names you recognise from the racing, and see which of those names you recognise from today's racing as well. Now, whilst all of our riders are making the way up on this final climb, Emma, let's just do a little bit of a heads up for people in terms of the World Championships, because
yes,
MyWhoosh is the UCI esports partner for 2024, 25, 26. As part of that, we have the World Championships in October. Those are live finals. Do you want to run us through the pathway and where we are in terms of the way into that final, Emma?
Yes, indeed we can. So first pathway into those finals are indeed through the national federations and their own selection processes, which are now complete. The second route into those semi-finals are through the open public qualifiers being held by MyWhoosh. The first open qualifier was yesterday. Don't worry if you've missed it, there are 2 more coming up. Wednesday is your next opportunity to join one of those public qualifiers. Then Saturday next weekend.
And both those are using the same courses, aren't they?
Yes, so 2 out of the 3 stages that we will see at the World Championships in October are being used for those open qualifiers. So the next 2 open qualifiers use the sprint stage and the all-out stage, which is the lapping course of a 4-kilometre lap.
So the sprint stage is a 15-minute window to do your fastest time through the sprint segment. As you drop down through from the banking of the velodrome and out, there is a sprint segment and your fastest time. So it's based on time, and the fastest riders gaining points in that. Those points then added to the points that you gain in the second, which is all out. Now that is 4 laps of
No, it's 3 laps.
It's 3 laps.
4 laps
4
in
laps
the final
final
in October, 3 laps
and
for the public
4 kilometres ago, which, if my maths is right, that's 12 kilometres of racing. And there's points on the line at each passage through. So,
yes, so
as you go round.
In stage 1, there are 40 points available for the fastest sprints. The top 20 sprints will be allocated points from 40 down to 2. Those points will carry into the next race, where the riders will race 3 4-kilometre laps with points allocated at the end of each lap for those first across the line. Again, 20 riders. The first 2 laps will get 20 points down to 1. And it's double points for the final lap, so 40 down to 2. So 40 points available on stage 1, 80 points available on stage 2. Strategy, technique, tactics, all needing to be available. Now, on Wednesday, It is at 2 o'clock the men kick off Central European time, 3 o'clock for the women. On Saturday the 10th, it's 7 p.m. Central European time and 8 p.m. for the women.
And the finish line is on a climb, so when we see an attack, as we've seen at the moment by Osborne, Van Elsen, Jones here with Knudsen chasing this braking group going clear. This is the sort of riding you need to be putting in on the front. You want to be able to climb, to attack onto the climb that takes you to the line to get those points. These riders we're going to see in action, well, they are the Category 1 riders on the climb at the moment. Number of these selected by the national federations, a number of riders being selected through the public qualifiers to go in. That then gets you into the semi-finals, and surely every single person that we see on the screen with Jasin, Jones, Van Elsen and Safrazadi, they would all be up there racing, in that we were expecting to see them in our semi-finals, aren't we?
Well, yes, in the semi-finals. So a number of riders going in, a large number of riders going into the semi-finals, because it's every rider that has been nominated by their federation and the riders from the open public qualifiers that will go into those semi-finals. Then from the semi-finals that are done from home with the equipment all verified through the verification process, all the details of that are available on mywhoosh.com/events. 20 men and 20 women will be joined by potential a couple of wild cards for the finals live in Abu Dhabi on the 26th of October.
And we're going to be there. So we will be there in person, actually, at the venue as well. Really looking forward to meeting our riders and in person, as well as having talked about them for a number of years now on screen as an avatar, and lately as a window in there. And Emma, is there anything in particular you're looking forward to there?
I'm looking forward to meeting the riders and actually seeing that racing, because I think when we've got those 22 riders all in a room together for that women's final, for that men's final, those riders are going to be so closely matched. The racing is going to be phenomenal. Well, if you want to check out the racing on the open public qualifiers yesterday, you can head to the MyWhoosh YouTube channel, because the racing was broadcast yesterday in English, French and Arabic, so you can get to see how those riders got into the top 10, how they won those points, and what tactics, techniques and strategies they used to get into that top 10, because it's 10 riders in those qualifications who are guaranteed progression, obviously once verification is finalized. So head over to MyWhoosh YouTube channel, take a look. You can obviously watch any of the Sunday race clubs as well while you are on there. That is the channel to like, follow and subscribe to get a notification for when MyWhoosh goes live.
And whilst you're online, don't forget, make sure you give Emma a follow. It's at biking_Emma, myself at Matt Fixer Payne. Follow MyWhoosh, it's at MyWhoosh on Instagram, on Facebook, my_whoosh on X, that's the platform formerly known as Twitter, and of course MyWhoosh Live on Twitch TV. Now, the racing on the climb, all our groups of leaders on the final climbs, on the final ascent that takes you up to the summit here of Bogota. The Bogota climb, it is a long climb up to the top. It's a great downhill on the other side. Our riders only get that as a warm down. We don't need to watch them race that. The first of our riders potentially could be SS, the man on the bottom right hand side of your screen. He is at the moment 1.2k clear of Niall Batty. Now, Batty is leading Category 3. He's on the bottom left hand side of your screen. Both riders with the polka dot skin suit there. It's currently 2 minutes 25 between Batty and SS. Let's see who is going to get there first between those two. In Category 2, Mr. X100 at the moment on the offensive has got a gap at the moment from the Theme Krasnich Graves group. They are currently sitting 13 seconds back. So that time trial move of Mr. X100 at the moment paying off for him. He is currently clear by about 800 meters from the leaders of Category 1. That is Osborne, Van Elst, Jones and Co. They're on your screen at the moment. It's Van Elst who's got the polka dot skin suit in Category 1. They are closing in on Category 2, who are closing in on Category 3, who are closing in on Category 4.
It's
However,
all coming together.
it's going to come together. Will it all come together as one big sprint finish? I hope so, because we drew straws earlier on, and Emma's calling the finishes for the sprints.
Fabulous. That's all I can say. Absolutely fabulous.
Seems she predicted a sprint. You
Well,
can call
X100 continuing to tap his way up the climb, and take a look at this. This is the charge behind Theme, Milostick, Carradine, Graves, Burke Kane is in there, Krasnich, Heaney, El Alami, Ospina. It is a fabulous chase group, and I think they're going to pull him back.
I think they're coming. It's down to 4 seconds here. And this is the thing. We're on a steeper section here. This is a section that suits the other riders, who will up their power when you hit a steep section. If you're out riding with the group, there are some riders who just sit at the same power all the way. They're a time trial type rider. They put the same effort in. There are other riders, and I'm very guilty of this. I sit at the same pace all the way around. So basically, I will go harder on a climb just to keep the speed up. If it's a little bump in the road, they've just gone over a little bump. They'll have been putting in that extra bit of dig there just to get them up. That will have helped them close the gap down on Mr. X100, who's in front. So Carradine in this mix. Now, Carradine, he must be due a big win. Has Sir Carradine had a win to your memory? I'm not sure that he has.
No, I don't think he has.
I tell you what, that would be a good victory for him. I bet he celebrates in style as well.
Well, whilst Matt is taking a think about who could possibly win from this group are thinking about how they execute that win, because at the moment it's X100 down the road, Milostick is in the middle. Now, he's a rider I think they need to watch, because Peter Milostick is capable of winning this on a lone drive. Well, El Alami needs to have a think about how he's going to deal with that alongside Graves and Krasnich. In fact, it's Graves who responds, and Graves is responding strongly because he has seen that danger of Milostick and X100 being together. Peter Milostick is the danger here. He is a great climber, and we've seen him close down gaps in Category 2 that you thought, or I thought, wouldn't be closed.
Yeah, he's a very, very strong, classy rider. But now you've got 3 class riders at the front. Peter Milostick, Philip Grace, and Mr. X100. They are your 3 leading riders who've still got a gap here. And don't be deceived by the small distance. It is on a climb, so it's worth probably double that on the flat. The chase coming from Olivier Simmons. He does not want to miss the bus this time round. Another dig off the front here again. Graves has gone hard again, now pushing away at the front here. Miss X100 has responded, and Graves now just drops back into the group. They are throwing punch after punch at the moment in the ring that is the Bogota climb. Who's going to make it to that final bell? Who's going to make it over the top of the climb in first position? They have got at the moment what is going to be 6 kilometers to go very shortly in Category 2. Not far behind them, only half a kilometre behind are the leaders in Category 1. That select group of Knudsen, Osborne, Jones, Van Elston Co. on the way up the climb. In Categories 3 and 4 are 2 polka dot skin suit wearers and holders at the moment. So the fastest riders on the first climb are also the fastest riders on the second climb at the moment. So basically, at the moment, is the man leading Category 3. He has got 13 seconds on Galuska, on Daiduch, on Kochikev. They are the group behind that are chasing him. It looks like Amur is in there. Amaru is in. Wallingham is a little further back. Stan Van Wallingham 20 seconds back at the moment. Amaru closing the gap down. The Frenchman trying to maybe draw on some of the inspiration from the amazing performances. I did have the pleasure of putting words to an amazing performance by Victor Koretsky, who ended up with a silver medal in the men's mountain bike at the Olympics, and Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, who took away the gold medal in that. I've also had the pleasure actually of commentating on the BMX, where the French took a 1-2-3 in the men's event. Yep, clean sweep and by some margin. The French on fire at the moment, so will that be a Raphael Amaro's inspiration today to ascend and make his way up here I'm not going to tell you any of the results from the men's and women's road races. In case you haven't watched them, please do. The men's, it was full of drama, particularly towards the end of the race. The climb of Montmartre, very, very
The women's
interesting.
race isn't finished yet, is it?
I'm not going to give you any spoilers and tell you no.
Okay.
But there has been things
I was going to
happening.
say, don't tell me that. I want to watch it later.
There has been things happening
Well,
in the
I'm very
racing there as
pleased that
well.
there has been things happening in a bike race. Always good. Well, SS at the moment pushing on in Category 4. Well, the question is he going to be the first rider to see the finish? I'm not sure whether we're going to see other race fields move up and through. But X100 at the moment still desperately trying to go off the front again of this Category 2 pack. They keep bringing him back and he keeps attacking again. Commitment and dedication to task.
Nicely summed up there.
There you go.
Okay, let's go back in with our Category 4 riders. We've got SS on the front, a man for a long time who was the workhorse of the UAE clan team. A bit of a break from racing and back in racing once again, and come back in. He's progressing very, very quickly actually from his baseline, from his return, and keeping on putting in those efforts. And in some ways I think it can be easier. I'm going to say this because I'm a rider who once upon a time was a little bit quicker than I am now. I find it quite, I can get back up to a relatively slow speed, but it's still quicker than I am when I start off quite quickly. I've got like that quick snap back into position. I'm not sure that everybody has that, and I think if you've been higher up, it is easier because you know where you're aiming for. You know where your target is.
Yes, but you also know how far away from it you are.
Yeah, that might be Emma speaking there as well. Everybody wants to be faster than they are.
Yeah, but
that's universal.
My view of it is at least you're doing something that you love doing to make yourself fitter and get you back to where you once may have been.
Well, we would love you to join us on the Sunday Race Club, and maybe whether you are a returning champion or whether or not you are a rider who's out for the first time, don't hesitate to get in touch. We'd love to hear from our riders. You can get in touch with them on Instagram at biking_Emma, with me at Matt Fixerpain. And make sure, of course, you tag in at MyWhoosh on Facebook and on Instagram. Come and join SS, who's the first rider to go underneath the polka dot banner. He is ahead of Tim Connell, who has got a 30-second plus gap back to third place Tom Walker, but is closing in on SS at the moment.
This is going to be an interesting two-man race to the line. And the question is, will Tom Walker close it down? He's 200 metres behind. I think it might be too far. But SS and Connell are going to be neck and neck into this finish line.
Tim Connell has closed down 23 seconds on SS on this climb. 23 seconds up the climb quicker. Has he got the pace? Has he got the speed to close down? Come on, Emma.
Well, we are going to see him come into the finish because the finish line is coming shortly. They're going to swing round the corner and they're going to see the gantry. They've got 200 metres to go and Connell is coming. Can SS hold on? Has he got anything left in reserve? Has he got a dig? Because Connell is on his wheel. He takes a breather. It's a big deep breath. There's the banner as Connell goes past SS. Can SS respond? A kick is coming from behind, but it is not going to be enough because Connell has more watts. Connell has more power. Tim Connell has put 23 seconds into SS on the climb and he goes under the UCI banner for qualifier number 1 in August, Category 4 win. Well, SS comes over the line in 2. Tim Connell in 1. Great attack from SS. Great charge to close him down from Connell. Tom Walker, the Welshman, moving on away from Justin Roy to come through in 3rd place today.
Great ride by Tom Walker, taking away 3rd place. Remember, prizes down to 5th. It looks like it's going to be Roy and West, the riders behind. Basically, the leading rider in Category 3, starting to rocket his way up. Just gone past Justin Roy there. Roy will have to watch behind him. West is coming as well behind him and coming at pace. But this is now Category 3. The blue-shirted riders, unless they're wearing the skin suit, as Niall Betty is here of the climb leader. He absolutely flew up there. He put in the time gap 20 seconds into the group behind. Emma said we were going to see sprints. We've seen solo riders so far.
Well, Batty is indeed going to push on and take the win in Category 3. It's a thumbs up. Well, a well-deserved thumbs up from Niall Batty. Congratulations for taking the win in Category 3. The chase is going to come hard from behind, and the sprint has already opened up. Diduch and Moro Galaskas pushing on. Kochikov is going to take it from Diduch. Phenomenal pushing. Amaro looking like he's going to come through for 4th place. It's going to be close because the riders are chasing. So it is indeed Batty from Kochkov, from Diduch, from Amaro, and then Galaska. Those are the 5 riders through in Category 3. Tell me my sprint is coming from Category 2.
Your sprint is coming from Category 2, maybe. But we will see. With still plenty of climbing left. They're at 42.9k. They have 2, in fact now 43k. So the leaders have 2k to go. We have got a fair bit of distance, but we've got a lot of ascent left. You can see 20 meters of vertical ascent more underneath the wheels of Category 2 leaders than the Category 1 leaders. They're 20 meters up the hillside, but it's a little bit further in terms of distance on the road. They're separated by 500 meters of horizontal distance between them as they make their way up the climb at the moment. Jones, Safford, Zadie, Osborne, Van Elsten, Knudsen are the riders right on the front of Category 1. Category 2, well, that lead is currently Mr. X100, who is setting the pace here. I think one of the things that's happening, I'm not sure Mr. X100 is necessarily attacking per se, as making the race hard by riding at his pace, and that is doing the damage to the rest of the riders.
Well, it is indeed 8 riders I count left in that pack, as it's Christoph Thiem this time who puts in the attack. They're trying to break each other because 5 podium places does not go into 8 riders. There's too many of them. I wouldn't want to take this many into the sprint, but they are so well matched, and you can tell that because they are still together. X100 has attacked, he's been brought in. Graves has gone, he's been brought in. Millerstick went, he's been brought in. These riders are so strong. Krasnich, Biarhead, Millerstick, Ken, El Alami, Heaney, Ospina, they are all in there, and you can see Mohamed El Alami up and out of the saddle, keeping a very, very close eye on the group, not wanting to be dropped, wanting to reserve energy for the finish because they're knowing it's probably going to come to a sprint now. They've got 1.1 kilometre to go.
This is going to be a frantic run up the line. Attack after attack is going in. Theme of putting in the latest one, being answered by Mr. X100, by Phil Grace, by Alex Heaney, by Peter Milostic, by Mohamed El Alami. El Alami, we just saw on our screens, looking still pretty smooth, pretty calm, pretty cool. Will he have saved enough energy? Has he got anything left in the tank? He needs to turn himself inside out in the very last 800 meters, but the gaps have opened, and it's the pressure of Theme who's doing the damage. Christoph Thiem still holding 2 seconds to Heaney.
Yeah, but it's still
3
a long
seconds
run.
to Grace. We're a long way out here, 600, 700 meters.
It is 600 metres to the finish line. They're coming up to the polka dot banner. It's Christoph Thiem, Alex Heaney, Phil Graves. 4 seconds back to X100, Peter Millerstick and James Krasnich. This is going to be about when they open up the sprint and who opens up the sprint first and how hard they kick, because they are still close together. Now, Heaney and Thiem, Graves comes up too. There's a small gap to Graves. There's a bigger gap back, but Alex Heaney continues to push. He's coming up for 400 metres to go. It was a group of 8 riders. It stretched right back down the road. These riders trying to win the race, trying not to take those riders into the sprint as Thiem and Graves chase Heaney.
This is going to be so close. Heaney has got the chase behind Thiem coming on his heels. Who's going to get this?
Well, Alex Heaney kicks at 8 watts per kilo. Christoph Thiem and Theo Graves haven't opened up the sprint yet. Do they have a sprint, or is it going to be Heaney? I think it's going to be Heaney who's going to take this. Alex Heaney, Category 2 in August. Qualifier 1 takes the win from Thiem, from Graves. Phenomenal racing by Alexini as we watch X100 come over the line. Oh, just ahead of James Krasnich, who I think is going to take 5th place today. Well, that's category 2. This is category 1. And we've got Safra Zaidi, Jones, Osborne. These 3 riders joined by Stefan van Elst, who we said was going strongly. Michael Knudsen still there as well. So 5 riders in this leading group in category 1. They've got 400 metres to go. Van Elst, Osborne, Knudsen, Safra Zaidi and Jones. Who's going up? Who's going over the top? Well, Van Elst has opened up the sprint already. Safra Zaidi's on his wheel. Ollie Jones is kicking from behind. What a kick Jones had. Can he make it go for him? Osborne's gone at 15 watts per kilo. Jason Osborne goes up and over the top, so Jason Osborne in 1, but the thing is still coming. The riders are still coming. Ollie Jones goes back up over the top. Can Safra Zaidi get there as well? I think that was Jones from Van Elst, from Knudsen. Well, we're going to have to wait for the results, but I think it was indeed Ollie Jones from Van Elst, from Osborne. Knudsen and Safra Zaidi round out the top 5.
Well, she might have had to wait for a sprint, but my goodness, Emma had a sprint there to round off the racing. 0.299, so less than a third of a second separating Jones, Van Elst, Osborne, Knudsen and Safra Zaidi at the line. The top 5 riders' positions separated by 0.299 of a second, so close as it came into the top. So Ollie Jones taking top spot from Stefan van Elst in second, Jason Osborne in third, Michael Knudsen in fourth, and Safra Zaidi in fifth. It's going to be a 6th place for Lionel Vujasin, who makes his way in underneath the gantry. It should be Mikhail Kaminsky who's going to come in for 7th, and 8th place is looking likely for Hayden Pucker. Here he comes to the gantry now. He's going to make his way in. He will be followed by Jacobs and Noren. Arnie Jacobs on his way through now. It might not have been sprinting all of our categories, but close in all of the categories. The time gap's not huge, but as you can see, some amazing racing here today on the Paso Alto on qualifier race number 1, with Ollie Jones of the Alpha Jaw squad taking top spot from Stefan van Elst from Hardsguard in second, and Jason Osborne, his teammate, in third. Also from the Hardsguard team, Knudsen in fourth and Safra Zaidi in fifth. And this is looking ominous for the Alpha Jaw squad as we move in towards the end of the month. If this was to stay the same through the next qualifiers, will it? Well, you're going to have to join us to find out, because we will be back, and we're coming back quite quickly. We're back on Wednesday with the second of the 2024 UCI World Championship Open qualifiers. We're back on Saturday with the final one of those. We're then back on Sunday with the Sunday Race Club qualifier race number 2. I'm absolutely looking forward to having a very busy week, making sure we know all of our riders and exactly what they get up to on the way through. And you never know, I might look at a dictionary between now and the end of the week. Emma's shaking her head on the other side of the studio here like not a chance. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to all of our riders for keeping us entertained. I'm sure there's lots more to come. A big thank you to all of the team behind the scenes as well. Give them a follow at MyWhoosh. You can follow me at Matt Fix Pain, and you can follow Emma at biking_Emma. But from us, it's time for an ice cream and a coffee without a shadow of a doubt. It's been great racing. Enjoy the rest of the day. I catch up with the rest of the racing on the YouTube channel. But from Emma and myself, Matt Payne, stay safe. We'll see you soon.
Goodbye.